Hi everyone, this is Mary at Northwest Sewing Center. We've missed everyone. We're back this week right before Christmas to give you a tip of the week. Judy's going to show us some neat tips and tricks on using the button sewing foot on your machine. So here's Judy.
These buttons are all sewn on using a button stitch, which is a basic zigzag on a sewing machine. And the way you do that is on a basic sewing machine. You might not have this set. Some of the larger ones have a section where you go to sew on a button, and it's at the end of where the buttonholes are, and you actually have a button that shows on it. It shows you what foot you need, and it drops the feed dogs. That's important because you don't want your machine to move your fabric when you've got your when you're trying to sew on a button. Now, some options that you have are to use a satin stitch foot. It's even better to use an open toe one so you can see the holes on the button. But if you have a button sewing foot, and this is a Janome button sewing foot, you can put that on and line up your button underneath it. I'm using a Kimberbell Cozy Winter button here. And you need it kind of close on this particular one. Now, I advise using a hand wheel the first time to make sure that this goes down where you expect it to. And that's a little bit tight. I'm going to scooch that over. But now we're going right in the middle. So I'm going to complete this. And that's a lock stitch. And that is sewn on. Machine that does not have a specific button sewing stitch, we're going to do a couple of changes on it. You take your regular foot off, and if you're lucky enough to have a button sewing foot, that's great. If you're not, you can use a satin stitch foot. Janome has a new one that is a manual buttonhole foot that also works for stitching on the button. We need to add it. We need to drop the feed dogs. That is back here usually on a machine. Just drop the feed dogs, and then we're going to go to our basic zigzag stitch. This, whatever your basic stitch is. Now, we don't know exactly how wide this is set up. You want to put those holes right there in the opening for your zigzag. And again, I'm going to hand wheel it through the first part. Now, this has a lock stitch at the beginning. So it's doing a couple little tiny stitches, switching to the other side. And now we don't want to go too long, just a couple of stitches. Now I'm going to hit lock stitch. And it's done. For a more computerized machine, you may have to go to a specific mode to get to your button stitch. In this case, we're going to have to go to the mode and stitch 70. And it did not drop the feed dogs. We still have a stitch on the back side. So we're going to drop the feed dogs, and we're going to change our foot. This machine, it's a Brother PS100, has a really nice feature for the buttonhole foot, the button foot. You can slide a little piece of plastic forward right here that will give you a little bit more looseness over your button. So if you need a little bit of looseness for your button to fit on your clothing or something. Otherwise, you can pull it back. We're going to pull it back for this. So it's just the metal right here. And we'll put it on. And we're going to put our little penguin back up under here. And you'll notice you've got very easily able to line it up.
The last four again, 238.
We're just going to stitch it.
And is there an email?
And there it goes to lock stitch at the end, and it's all done. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We wanted to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a safe New Year.